Another night was passing. Peaceful night, which isn't entirely common around here. I popped up out of bed, had myself some pemmican. It's only 2 a.m., but I was sick of laying around. Decided I was going to cook as much pemmican as I could. It was going to be one of my goals. It was time to hit the road. I didn't want to be here anymore. I was feeling a little miffed about that fella claiming to be my uncle who had passed away. I was also a bit upset about my toe being shot off and my 2 friends who had died. After cooking for a while, had a meal, went back to cooking. Had a rat die on one of my traps. But I was going to focus on the cooking as long as I could. I cooked all day. Then I was off to bed. About that time, it occurred to me another muffalo looked pregnant. The rice was coming up, which is good because I was going to need it, making more pemmican. When I awoke, I ate, and it was back to cooking. If I could get all these veggies cooked up, I should have a mountain of pemmican. Occasionally, I have to take a break, throw some horseshoes. My zoo going on around here with all these animals everywhere. But cooking is the priority at the minute, so that's where my focus was. My robot doing the hauling, pretty phenomenal. You can cook all day, don't have to leave the kitchen. Hopefully the cleaner robot comes through once in a while. When I ran out of veggies, I got to the job of dealing with some of these animals. Planted a little rice, I had a little space left. So many animals, means a lot to do. Decided I was going to do a bunch of harvesting. If I could gather up a bunch of veggies, I could keep the cooking thing going. One of my alpacas, strayed out of the home area. This crazy grizzly bear came, skipped through most of my traps, started attacking the thing. And I can't have that. No hostile grizzlies around here. Grabbed my gun, gave up the cooking, ran on out. They were having one heck of a battle. And I came running down, see if I could help that alpaca out. A couple shots from the rifle, dropped that bear pretty quick. That alpaca was pretty beat up, I can tell you that. And while I was hauling that bear into the freezer, he'd make some good meat. Decided I was going to do a whole lot of plant cutting, harvest everything I could straight away, rather than waiting for full maturity. That alpaca went, laid in Hamlet's bed, and I got him tended up, lest he die. Wasn't in too bad a shape, should make a full recovery. After that, I plucked up some rice for a while, then I was off to bed. All my animals were off to bed too. Poor Hamlet had to sleep outside, there weren't enough beds around for him. When I woke, it was 6 a.m., had myself some food, fed that alpaca that was down, and I got to the business, harvesting the rest of the rice. I was going to get to the corn too. Hamlet was helping out, doing some hauling. My hauler robot does a pretty good job, but it needs to charge frequently, and it can't carry a ton. So I harvested for a while, and I decided to go chill out, see about learning some chess strategies, should I ever meet someone to play against. After that, right back to harvesting rice. I was not going to plant anything else here, if I could help it. Harvested the corn next. I got a lot out of that. And then the animals needed attention, of course. Muffalos to milk, alpaca to shear. A little bit of that. Then I went back to getting some food in me, followed by more shearing of alpacas. Also, these animals have to stay trained up. They might go wild on me. I had some success with that, and I had some failures. But I guess that's to be expected. Seemed like I fell more than I succeed at this, but it is what it is. After a couple failed attempts, I decided to get off to bed, stop wasting my time. And when I woke up, I dug into that giant pemmican stash, fed that alpaca again. He didn't get malnutrition. Decided to build a machining table. See about breaking down those crazy robots, see what I could find inside of them. That'd be interesting. I haven't done any of that yet. They've been laying around forever, so... Once that table was built, there was a couple traps that needed to be rebuilt. That grizzly and that rat, I'd done them in. And on the other side, a couple needed it as well. So I built them, just working away. There was a whole lot of spaceship chunks laying around, and I could get some good resources out of them. So I was going to run around, take them all apart. Found a nasty old skeleton laying by one of them, which was unfortunate. I got a bunch of them deconstructed, and I found a dead muffalo that was pretty fresh. A little more meat, and a little more blue fur. Certainly wouldn't hurt. After that, I got back to breaking down space chunks. I'd set some smoke leaf up. I was going to make it into smoke leaf joints, see if I could sell it when I hit the road. But it started rotting away, so I was taking apart spaceship chunks. I got as many as I felt like doing. Decided to haul in the components rather than the steel. An alpaca gave birth about that time. They were right back at it with the love making too. Ain't gonna be long before we got more. When I got back inside, I chilled out. I tossed some horseshoes. Thought about it was gonna be sad to leave my new home here, but be alright. I was off to bed after that. I woke up about 5 a.m., had myself some pemmican. My power was having trouble, so I flicked off some of the things I wasn't using. See if I could help that situation out some. I think that machining table pushed it over the limit. I ran on out to break apart some ship chunks again. There's still several laying. I found another dead guy. Fortunately, he didn't get close enough for me to smell him. I got a message, somebody being chased, wanted some help. For now, though, I had my hands full. Trying to stay focused, getting some stuff done so I could get on the road. That's my number one priority. I decided to break apart those mechanoid corpses next. Crazy robots had all kinds of interesting bits and pieces in them. I got some good resources out of them. I made some good progress on that. Didn't take too long to get them all taken apart. My hauler robot and Hamlet were taking care of cleaning up after me, so that was good. I had some pemmican. Took that workbench down. I didn't need it anymore. And I had a bunch of stuff to repair. Followed by a muffalo to milk. And one to tame as well. After that, alpaca needed some attention too. Felt like a never-ending game, trying to keep all these animals tame. It wouldn't be long before I was on the road. I sat down, had myself a nice coffee. After that, back to dealing with these darn critters. I was tired by then. It was about 11 p.m. So I hit the hay. That alpaca joined me. I did shoo him out of there. Last of my smoke leaf rotted away, which is just fine with me. I decided I was going to make some clothes while I was having a coffee. I was going to need some warm clothes where I was going. So it'd be best to be prepared, so I didn't get there. Freeze my cojones off. I trained an alpaca. Had another coffee. Feeling pretty wired, which is good. Dirty muffalo needed some attention by then too. And I had some success with that. All over the place, these animals just going feral on me. Trained an alpaca, and I took a little walk around. Check out my home, perhaps for the last time, before I buggered on out of here. I liked it here, despite all the violence people were heaping upon me. It was nice. I was feeling a little lonely once again. But there was a muffalo that needed taming, and by then, I decided to heck with it. I'll get back to doing some cooking. I needed to turn on my tailor bench so I could actually get to working on it. So I planned for that. Clothes seemed more important than more pemmican for the minute. So that's what I got to working on. I had a bunch of muffalo wool around. Made myself a toque. Didn't really turn out too nice. So I decided to make another. And a parka would be in order as well. Might as well use up a bunch of this stuff. See what I could make. My next toque turned out alright. Not as great as I'd like though. So I made some tribal wear. It turned out pretty poor too. I put on my new toque. It's a nice change. Clean new hat. It was toasty. I just started cranking stuff out. Made some decent tribal wear. Another decent toque. And I worked on that parka before I got too tired. Had to hit the hay. And when I woke up, swapped out some clothes again. I had a ton of jade, ton of stuff sitting around here. Not sure how much of it I was going to be able to bring with me. Contemplated that while having some pemmican before harvesting the last of that rice I'd replanted. As soon as I harvested it, these critters show up and start eating it. I made a pretty good parka before having to get back to deal with these animals again. I was getting nuzzled. Good old Hamlet. He'd be the only one that stays with me when this is all said and done. I'd be happy to be rid of these animals. And after that, I was back to trying to use up all these veggies I'd gathered. I decided to harvest the hay as well. Perhaps I could bring that with, sell it along the way, or perhaps the animals would eat it here. Worked on that for a bit. I had a little pemmican. And I was back to harvesting hay. It's quite the job. I made a big patch. I worked on it for quite a while. I sat down and had myself a coffee. Decided to finish up the job. And it didn't take too much. After that, I was off to bed once again. I wasn't terribly late for once. Chunks of spacecraft crashed down right in what used to be my rice paddy. That's fortunate, being that it's nearby. I also decided I was going to use that healer mech serum I had. Fix my toe if it would work. So when I got up, I did it. And my right toe sprouted right back out. It was weird to have a toe back. It took me a little while to get used to walking again with it. But I liked it all in all. I sat down and had myself a tea before heading out. Break apart them ship chunks. And Muffaloes needed milking, training. The hauling robot was a real godsend, man. Running around picking stuff up everywhere. I did a little more cooking. I sat down and had a coffee. Keeps me in good spirits. And I cooked while the hauler hauled stuff for me. Hamlet helped out as well. Once in a while I'd have to stop and do some cleaning. Things are getting pretty messy. Periodically stopping to deal with these alpacas. It was about that time some huskies came and joined me. This wasn't the first time that had happened. I decided since I was going to hit the road pretty soon, I'd just let them come with. To heck with it. I had plenty of meat. I was contemplating how to deal with that while playing a little chess. But then I was back to cooking. Occasionally stopping to deal with these animals. I wanted them all trained up before I left here. Mad squirrel came, killed itself on my trap right about that time. But a little more squirrel meat. I debated on rebuilding the trap, but I had plenty of steel. So I had a little pemmican, and then I decided to get that done. Back to cooking after that. I cooked for quite a while, till one of them exploding rats stepped on one of my traps. Blew up the trap, damaged my walls pretty good. I got it hauled in, I put out the fire, and then I was off to bed. And when I woke, of course pemmican was on the menu. I like the simple things in life. Got up and made that steel trap. That hauling robot always brings the steel out for me, gets my supplies set up. So if I just wait a little bit, I don't even have to carry stuff around. It's fantastic. Hamlet needed some attention by then, and I gave it to him. He's such a smart dog. He picks everything up right away. I was working with these muffalo. The dogs are getting hungry. I'd forgot to set some meat out for them. So I set up a spot for that. I'm sure they'd be happy. Have a bunch of raw meat whenever they wanted it. So I let the hauler robot know where to put it. And it didn't take long. We started setting it up, and them dogs swarmed on it like nobody's business. All the while, I'm cooking food. I can cook all day. That robot picks up what I'm dropping, brings me more supplies. Pretty much a never-ending cook situation here is pretty great. If I'd have had this guy all along, I'd be off this rock by now. After cooking for a spell, that baby muffalo needed some attention. Sadly, I failed giving it to him. And a coffee was in order. Because why not drink a coffee if you got a coffee? It's kind of like a beer, except if I let myself drink beer, I'll screw everything up. I switched gears, started making bulk pemmican. Turns out that goes a lot faster. Get the job done significantly sooner than I otherwise would. Did that for a bit. I was making good progress getting through the veggies, and then I was off to bed. Of course, I woke up, had myself a little meal. I chilled out in my guest room. And about that time, one of them crazy alien ships fell out of the sky. It was pretty close, which was unfortunate. I decided I was just going to ignore it. I did decide also I was going to harvest a bunch of this medicine that was laying around. Can't complain about wild medicine. It's free, it's there, and there's a decent chance I'm going to need it at some point. So I ran around, harvesting as much of it as I could find that was nearby. And then I got it all hauled in. I got a fair amount of it. The hauler robot and Hamlet were helping out, picking stuff up and getting it put where it belongs as well. Once that was done, Muffalo needed milking. Another one needed taming. It's a never-ending game of this nonsense. I took my pants off, decided to put on some different ones. I had some better ones laying around. Mine are getting kind of worn out, even though they did have good armor protection. So I cooked. Chunks of spacecraft fell down nearby again. Decided I'd most likely just let them lay as well. I had plenty of components. I was going to need them, since I wanted to build a bunch of gun turrets. But I think I had enough now. I didn't want any more. I was going to let that stuff stay. So I cooked. Stopping to deal with critters more often than I'd like. There's a real madhouse around here. Pretty much cooked all day. And finally, I got through the last of my vegetables. Then I was off to bed. While sleeping, I made a plan. I was going to take everything apart, uninstall everything, deconstruct stuff, get everything dealt with. So I'd be ready to get out of here today. It was going to be my last day here. And I was sad to see it go. But it was definitely time. So I ran around, uninstalling all my fixtures and my furniture. Not sure how much of it I was going to be able to take with, but not wanting to leave anything important. Somebody will come here and overrun this place, I'm sure, and they'll have a nice home. Sadly, it didn't look like I was going to be able to take everything. I'm not sure I have enough pemmican to get me where I want to go. But it is what it is. I installed everything I could find, even the animal beds. Then I got to the business, deconstructing stuff after that. There were ACs. Occasionally I stopped to take a walk. All my pets are following me around. Looked a little crazy. One man, this big train of animals after him. Decided it was time for the wind turbines to go as well. Even that fancy research bench was going to have to go. And the comms console. These things you can't take with you. No sense leaving anybody something real usable, if you can help it. Certainly going to be a fair amount of supplies around here. It took quite a while, but I got it all taken apart. Spent the whole darn day doing it. Didn't want to leave my robots either. they're going to be useful where I ended up. It saved me so much effort. I had to eat standing up in the freezer, which wasn't quite a freezer anymore. Those bodies are no doubt going to go bad. But at that point, I had everything done. It was time to plan getting the heck on out of here. All the animals are going to have to go, that's for certain. There were quite a few of them. Certainly all the food as well. I only had about 36 days of food. There was so much stuff I had to leave behind, it broke my heart, but I took the most expensive stuff, whatever I deemed important, whatever I could carry as well. Weapons, gold, silver, all that kind of stuff. And I still had a map showing me that spaceship was 51.8 days away, so it was going to be a long haul. Certainly didn't have enough food, but I'm sure I could forage along the way. So I started packing up to get on out of here. A mad gazelle showed up at that point. Must have snapped, given how crazy this planet is. But Trap killed him, and that was that. Good feeling settled over me then. I felt like I was making the right move. It took all darn night to pack. All the animals are sleeping all around. Backpacks on them. I was running around, filling everything up, gathering everything I could. So much stuff getting left behind. But I didn't look back. I ran by that stupid alien ship. Got on out of there. And baby animals slowed me down a little bit. But that's alright. They showed up eventually. And we were gone. Man's gotta move on. Can't spend your time looking back. And that's what I did. I was on the road by then. Wasn't long after it started that there was an eclipse. But didn't stop a guy from walking. Most of the nearby people hostile to me. So I walked on by all them. Not wanting any trouble. While walking, one of them alpacas had a baby. Fortunately, those babies come out on all their legs. I got to the nearest people that I could actually chat with, trade with. And I had lots of stuff I could let go. They had animals, but I certainly didn't want any more animals. I got rid of what I could, made some cash, decided to move on to the next settlement. Of course, stopping at night to rest in the volcanic fields. Eventually I made it there though. And once again, got rid of a bunch of stuff I was never going to use, didn't want. It was hard to figure what to sell and what to keep. Definitely the drugs could go. I'd already sold a bunch of simple stuff, equipment, stuff I was never going to use. So I sold what they'd buy, what they had cash for. Tried to give them too much. Decided I didn't want to be that friendly with them. And then it was time to move on. I kept heading straight to the goal, even though I knew I was going to be stopping again. Another alpaca got pregnant on the walk. Those things breed like rabbits, man. Time is passing. Felt my clothes wearing out pretty good. And I was passing a bunch of hostels as well. But it is what it is. It's going to be a long trek. I only had about half as much food as I was going to need. I also wasn't going to be giving anybody any gifts. They were too mad at me. I met some traders on the road. I thought about buying some bionics. I could get myself souped up pretty well. But in the end I didn't. I did buy some packaged survival meals, some really good medicine, and then it was time to move on. My trek took me through deserts, mountains, forests, and there were lots of people to visit on the way. So I kept on doing it. I had to find some tribal bases if I was going to buy some more food. They got the pemmican. That stuff lasts. That's a good thing to take. I was running short on stuff to sell already. It wouldn't be long before I could start selling animals. The downside was, I'd collected a bunch of silver. That stuff's pretty heavy. I sold a bunch of drugs, some of my coffees and teas, and then it was time to move on once again. Always keeping my eyes on that prize, which is still 38 days away, and again, I only had about half as much food as I needed. So, through forests, deserts, tundra, you name it, I walked. I was getting pretty crabby. Despite all the walking with all these animals, I hadn't had any fun in a while. I was getting notified. People were down, needed help, all along the way. But I just wasn't going to deal with any of that. Turns out a lot of people need help around here. Wasn't long before I snapped, but it also wasn't long before I recovered. I got an item stash quest. It was too far away to consider. Had it been closer, an anti-grain warhead certainly would have been a fun thing to use on some pirates. After I got my senses back together, I was feeling pretty darn good. I decided to take advantage of it. Keep my feet, one going in front of the other. Still visiting people along the way. An alpaca gave birth about that time. I made it over to Owenville. Decided to sell some of these baby animals. I had a baby buffalo and a baby alpaca. And I didn't need them to carry all the stuff I had anymore. So I got rid of them. Of course they had a slave, but I didn't want to get involved with that either. It's just going to be another mouth to feed. I sold fur, bought some lavish meals, see if I could keep myself happy in that regard. And then it was time to carry on. Still looking at about 30 days when I only had 14 days worth of food. All these side trips really slowing me down. But hopefully I could find somebody to buy some food off of at some point. I got to Gordmere. Thought about selling a pregnant alpaca. Decided against it. I bought some chocolate. See if I could keep my happiness up. And it was tough not to sell some animals, but in the end I didn't. I bought some wood. Place where I'm going might not have any, so that'd be a useful thing to bring with me. I shouldn't need too much, hopefully. I was going to need a ton of steel, a ton of blocks. I already had the components I was going to need, so I didn't have to worry about that. I got back to walking. The sun was going up and down. I met another group of traders on the road. Sadly, they had no food for me. They did buy that baby alpaca though. I didn't need that guy, that's for sure. And then I moved on. Wasn't long though. Buffalo coming on down the road, just frothing at the mouth, pissed off, mad at the world. Decided it was going to take it out on me. But I can give him the business, I suppose. I shot him. Wounded him pretty bad too. He kept on coming though. That rabid son of a bee got a hold of me. It certainly didn't feel good. Messed up my left leg pretty bad, and then he started attacking one of my alpaca. So I decided to turn, shoot him up. That alpaca was holding his own. Stunned him, and then I dropped the buffalo. I was going to have to get myself tended up here. It's going to slow me down a bit with the walking, but it is what it is. Not much a guy can do about that. Debating on whether I was going to have to stop again, set up a temporary home as I was tending myself. I might need more food. I certainly didn't want to deal with all these animals if I did stop though. All these animals did need attention straight away. The buffaloes needed milking. Everybody needed shearing. That one alpaca was well injured, so I was going to have to take care of it. But I had the meds for it. Hamlet sure does love buffalo milk. Sucked down a whole bucket. It's pretty entertaining to watch. Just licking and lapping. Pretty hilarious. Despite my injury, I gathered up a whole bunch of buffalo fur, alpaca fur, all this kind of stuff, and then decided to hit the road. Fortunately, that stuff doesn't weigh too much. I was able to take it with me along with the milk. Wasn't much else worth anything. So with that, I was back on the road. And then night fell once again. About that time though, I was feeling 100%. My wounds had all healed. Same goes for my alpaca. So I had quite a journey left in front of me here, and I was going to have to debate whether to stop, whether to continue. As I walked along, whistling a little tune, feeling pretty decent about the trip so far. I've been through volcanic fields, any kind of biome you could think. Had a long way to go yet, but I'd make it.